Hello, everyone. I'm UrielLocke, and I am going to be your host for this epic journey of, well, journeyness. I am actually going to speculate a couple things because I did actually do a story time with UrielLocke about Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6. Now, that being said, there's a lot of speculation on what's going to be happening in Episode 7. I personally, these are all speculation and my personal thoughts on probably what they're going to be doing with Episode 7. Um, the fact that there are many different ideas about what's been going on. I honestly think what they're planning on doing is having other actors take the places of certain actors in general because they're so old. I gotta hand it to them for still acting because they're still amazing actors. But I've heard rumors that they're doing a Han Solo movie, a standalone, a Boba Fett movie, a standalone as well. Now, that being said, the only way to do that is to take what they have done in this movie and do flashbacks of when they were younger to, in a sense, get these actors to the point where they're used to being seen as these characters. So I'm assuming that there's going to be flashbacks of Han Solo. There's going to be flashbacks of Boba Fett, possibly. And I'm not sure exactly how they're actually going to be playing out this story because this is supposed to be one last romp from the original crew, so to speak, according to what I've read. Now, that's speculation as well. This is all my personal opinion. This is all speculation. I'm not saying that I know exactly what's going on, but if they're going to be doing certain movies about Han Solo and his life prior to the original trilogy, automatically they're going to have to throw in another actor in a flashback to have us as the viewers and the moviegoers to actually see that person playing that character. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I always have been. I've there, there was a month where I actually stopped watching Saturday morning cartoons and did nothing but watch the Star Wars, the original trilogy. And then I've also been very thankful and very surprised that most of the Star Wars movies actually came out around my birthday. So that being said, I saw them all in theaters around my birthday, so to speak, and what they're doing with it is they're possibly taking it in a different way because of the fact that everybody's like, oh, they're going to be following the books or, oh, they're going to be doing the comic. But I don't really think they're going to be taking it that direction due to the fact that these actors are, as I've stated, so old. They actually had to cancel part of the production process because Han Solo, Harrison Ford, hurt himself while walking into the on ramp. There we go, onto the Millennium Falcon. So it's all hearsay. JJ likes to keep things under wraps, and yes, there's a couple leaked photos, and there's a couple other leaked things. And one of the photos I actually saw was of a Sith with a mask. Now, that being said, this Sith looks a little bit too much like something from Knights of the Old Republic or the MMO Star Wars The Old Republic. That being said, I can't actually say that some of these leaked photos are actually real. There's canceled video games that they actually scrapped. The 1313, which was Boba Fett's video game that they were going to do. They canceled that, and there was a lot of artwork and a lot of character designs and everything that were there still. I mean, you can actually go, there's a Kotaku, there was also a Polygon, and there was another article on it as well. And all of these were, there were photos and designs for different levels, and there's a cityscape, and there's a planet that was similar to Kashyyyk, and Kashyyyk, I don't remember how to pronounce it. I pronounce it Kashyyyk. But you look at all this, and you can't sit there and say that all of the stuff that's coming out is from the movie, because there's so many Star Wars things out there. There's fans that come up with things. There was a guy that came up with, or literally made the mask of the guy in the one of the previews for the Old Republic. Now, this mask was metal. This mask covered his entire face. It looked kind of like a Revan mask. And it was all studded, and it looked cool. Don't get me wrong. It looked cool. But the similarities between the leaked photo and that mask are too similar, in my opinion. Yes, they could possibly be doing that. But I don't really feel they will be, due to the fact that if you're going to leak the main bad guy for the Star Wars Episode 7 movie, you wouldn't make him look like someone from another video game or more artwork done by another person if he's not in the movie. It just doesn't make sense to me to leak a photo or have a photo leak that this guy looks almost identical to this guy. It doesn't make sense. I'm assuming that the story is going to be more about what's going to be happening. The Jedi Temple that Luke is in charge of. I'm assuming Leia's been trained somewhat due to the fact that she's Luke's sister. Spoiler alert for those of you that haven't seen it. I'm assuming there's going to be some references to Anakin and Darth Vader. There's probably going to be some weird transition there as well. There's also possibly going to be, in my opinion, as I said, in my opinion, there's also possibly going to be a mention of Han and Leia's kids. Or kid, depending on which universe we're going through here, because there's multiples. There's also Mara Jade, who is Luke's girly friend person thing. So she may be mentioned as well, or brought in and shown in Luke's kid and all this fun stuff. So I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot more growth, considering the name was actually let go as well, The Force Awakens, which a lot of people are like, oh, but the Force was already awake. Well, if you think about it, the Empire was actually going out and hunting down Jedi, and probably hunting down other Sith as well, in order to take control, complete control. Now, the fact that the Empire is not what it used to be, and the Emperor is dead, and Vader's dead, and all that stuff, there's probably a mass group of people that are being born that are Force sensitive. Yay, midichlorians. Episode 1 destroyed most of everything from, well, everything. Star Wars Episode 4, oh, it's a force. It penetrates us. It binds us. Yeah, well, you know, they're just little microscopic things in Episode 1. So, yes, I understand that there are people that are probably guessing and whatnot, which I'm doing, that are saying it's going to be this way or that way. But I'm optimistic due to the fact that what JJ did with Star Trek was actually really good. I rather enjoyed the newer Star Trek movies. I'm a big Star Trek fan as well. I grew up watching the movies. I used to go down to my grandmother's all the time, and one of the fond memories I have of my uncle was he actually taught me to do the eyebrow raise that Spock does. And it was one of those things where he and I used to just sit in the den and go through the Star Trek movies or go through the Star Wars movies. And I grew up doing that. And mind you, this is my uncle who passed away recently. And he's the one that really got me into gaming. He was the one that was playing these games and got me interested and whatnot. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be half the nerd I am today. So I have very fond memories of the Star Wars and Star Trek movies because I grew up watching those and spending time with family and speculating. I mean, it was actually really kind of funny because when Episode 1 came out, I went and saw that with my father's side of the family. and my uncle actually, literally, word for word, pretty much told me what's going to happen to Anakin. And I was like, no, no, Obi-Wan wouldn't do that. But episode 3 comes out, and that's literally what happened. So I gotta hand it to my uncle for speculating a little bit there, because I don't even think in the books it actually talked about that. I need to go back and read the books. Anyway, I honestly have many speculations about the Star Wars universe than what's going to happen with it since Disney's taking over. Yes, in a sense, Lucas and Disney have been hand in hand for so long. But at the same time, when they're taking a main franchise that people enjoy, people grew up with, people connect with. I mean, we have the 501st that goes out and does all sorts of things. And I've actually contacted a couple of them and whatnot and thought about joining a couple times, but sadly I haven't yet. But they do so many great things for the community and everyone in general. I mean, there was one guy in Australia who was literally marching Australia from one end to the other to raise money for a hospital. And I'm like, one guy in a stormtrooper outfit. Do you have any idea how hot that is? Do you have any idea how hard it is to walk in that uniform? Do you have any idea how many water breaks you have to take? How many bathroom stops? I mean, it's amazing what some of these guys will do. I went down to San Francisco and went to the gathering for, or the cantina get-together that they had for the Old Republic, because I was hardcore into that game. I may be returning to that as well, but yeah, it's hearsay at the moment, because that game's not worth playing, in my opinion, unless I'm paying. And I'm a big fan of BioWare and what they've done, but losing who they've lost, I'm kind of sitting there going, BioWare. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Dragon Age Inquisition, though, and a couple other things in EA and corporate money. So the fact that I'm sitting here speculating about Star Wars in general means that it means something to me. As a kid, I grew up and I wanted to be a Jedi. And I wanted to do this. And for years, I was like, I gotta use the Force. I gotta use the Force to grab this cup. And it's something kids do in order to have fun, understand, and be part of something that they feel is bigger than themselves. And I've done that for years. I've been creating ideas. I've been writing stories. I've been playing video games and learning from them. And looking at how everything's changed over the years with Star Wars, Star Trek, and all those sci-fi things that I got into at a young age, and then moving on when my mom met my stepdad, and watching Babylon 5 and the rest of the Star Trek series. Like, we used to watch The Next Generation, and then when my mom met my stepdad and they got married and everything, we started watching Deep Space Nine and Voyager. I like Voyager, by the way. Voyager was a lot of fun. I've also played a little bit of Star Trek Online. So I actually enjoyed that game. That game was a lot of fun. I'm curious to see what they're going to be doing with the next expansions that they're doing and all that fun stuff. But there's something inherently lacking, in my opinion, in Star Wars games that it seemed Star Wars Galaxies did right. It's not just grind, and that's something that the Old Republic has, and that's something that WoW does, and that's something that most MMOs do. It's the grind. It's oh, I have to get to the next level. Oh, I have to get to the next level. Oh, I have to get to the next level. But in actuality, it's not I have to get to the next level. It's I have to become more powerful. And when you get to certain levels in games, you're like, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do this. And then there's one more level, and then there's one more level, and there's one more level until you hit level cap. And then you're like, yes, I have all these powers. And then you have to learn how to use them. Now, that being said, an open world MMO is something that is very appealing, like Arcade. Arcade is very appealing to me due to the fact that it's a sandbox. I mean, you can go do whatever you want. And WoW's kind of like that, but at the same time, it's also got the aspects of follow this, go here, go do this, take this to this guy, move over here, do this over here, kill 10 of these. And that makes sense for an MMO. But at the same time, when you're sitting there going, okay, I want to progress my character. I want to grind here for a little bit just to see how far I can get. Well, I did that in Arcade. I actually got in, loaded up, had fun, was like, oh, hey, I'm going to go kill like 10 of these things just because I can. It wasn't a kill quest. It was actually a collection quest. So I killed like 30-some weird cow things with tusks. It was like a weird boar, whatever. It was like one of the first quests, and I killed a whole bunch of them, and I'd leveled 2-3 times. And I come back, return that quest, and now I'm a little bit higher and a little bit more powerful for the next quest, for the next quest, for the next quest, and you just do that. And that's how I play MMOs. I don't normally run through like I did if you watched any of my WildStar videos. My WildStar videos are more me trying to get through the game because I didn't have the community playing with me, so to speak. I enjoy playing with other people in video games because it helps, in a sense, develop the character, helps me figure out tips on what rotation I should have and how I should do this and what spec I should go. So there's a lot of different aspects of the Star Wars universe that is very appealing to me. And as a gamer, I want to be in that universe. I want to be in that world. I want to be able to do the things I did in Knights of the Old Republic and become that all-powerful Sith or Jedi. And lately I'm kind of leaning more towards the Sith because, well, I can shoot lightning. So, Star Wars in itself is its own entity. It can't be stopped. I mean, even if the next movie sucked, we still have the 501st. We still have people that really actually believe in the Jedi religion. And you look at all these things and you say, this is more than just for nerds. This is more than just a movie. This is more than just a book. There's more to it than that because it took on a life of its own over the years. And it's grown into what it is today. And looking at those and understanding that it's impacted pop culture and culture in general. I mean, there's so many people that are running around with Star Wars shirts that don't even really know the character names, just to be cool. And me being a huge Star Wars fan and looking at that going, hey, that's C-3PO, and that's R2, and they're like, who? Or I'll just comment on a shirt and be like, oh, I like that shirt. And due to the Marvel movies, it's the same way with Marvel. So I'll sit there, some guy will come to my work, and he'll be wearing a Captain America shirt. I'll be like, hey, nice shirt. Or some guy will be wearing a Deadpool shirt, or this or that. And I'll comment on it, and they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, who's that? And I'm just sitting here going, you're wearing the shirt. You're looking at it as it's just a way to express yourself and be cool. When in actuality, you're hurting those that actually care about it. Because, yeah, if you want to know about it, sure, go ahead. I mean, go ahead, go get a Deadpool shirt, go get a Wolverine shirt, go get a Darth Vader shirt. But at the same time, when you're sitting there and you're trying to be cool, and you go into Hot Topic and see this awesome, like, sweatshirt that's orange and it has the Goku's training symbol and all that stuff on it. And King Kai, there we go. King Kai's training symbol on it and everything. And you're like, oh, that's cool. What is this? And you just buy it because it looks cool. But in a sense, yes, the merchandise is actually helping promote the industry. Yet at the same time, if you don't understand and somebody walks up to you and asks, hey, who's your favorite Dragon Ball Z character? Or who's your favorite Marvel character? I mean, I actually have like 4 different Marvel characters I actually like a lot. And I have like 8 different Star Wars characters I like. Yes, some of them are within the regular movies. Some of them are outside in the extended or expanded universe. Revan being one of my favorite characters of all time. I absolutely loved playing as Revan in Knights of the Old Republic. Another spoiler alert, sorry. If you haven't played it, it's worth a play. It's on Steam, have fun. Knights of the Old Republic 2 was not as good in my opinion, but it was still good. And I've been looking at the Star Wars games they've been coming out with, and a lot of it's going more kid-oriented, which I understand. I really do. Because they're trying to get a younger generation to like it, and to buy the merchandise, and to do this, and to do that. And I understand that. But at the same time, you also need to make the merchandise for those that have been part of it for all their lives, so to speak. I've been collecting all sorts of Star Wars stuff since I was a kid. I mean, one year I got a Saga's Monopoly for Christmas, and it was literally the Star Wars Saga's Monopoly. I have not opened that yet. I have a whole bunch of toys that are still in the boxes. I have a couple lightsabers that are still in boxes, and I just collect them because it reminds me of my childhood, about the one thing that was right with my childhood. Because I had a very rough childhood, but at the same time, those things that went right went so right that it helped me as an individual grow. It had something, I had something to look at and be like, I want to be like Luke. I want to do this. I want to train, and I want to become better than I am, and I want to show the world that I am this and not that. And over the years of growing up and learning that adult life isn't that much fun, I've discovered that going back to that and reliving that, in a sense, within my memory, helps me understand who I was and who I am now. And a lot of people may call me childish or this or that, but at the same time, deep down, I can't let go of that inner child, because that inner child keeps me going. I've lived through some rough stuff. I'm not saying it's the worst, I'm not saying it's the roughest, but for me it was rough. And looking at how video games and movies and comics have shown me that the underdog sometimes does win, and the good guy does win sometimes, and in most of it's most of the time. But when you get into the more realistic ones, you have all these tragedies. The Punisher, for instance, has lived through so many tragedies. He's lost his family, he's lost this, he's lost that. But at the same time, he's still doing good, so to speak. I mean, he's an anti-hero, but he's still working to help other people's lives be better than his own. Spider-Man, same way. Lost his uncle, fights to make sure that those he cares about has a better life than he does. And watching how everything changes over the years, and looking at the mass that is Marvel movies at the moment, I mean, I got, yeah, horrible glare there, but it's the Days of Future Past. I absolutely loved that movie. Yes, the end credits were like my favorite part, but oh, I can't wait. But you have these actors that are portraying these characters, and you look at it, and you're saying, well, these actors are portraying these characters, so kids, think that these actors are actually these people. So they look up to them. Back when, what's his name, was playing Spider-Man. The first trilogy of Spider-Man. 1, 2, and 3. 3 didn't exist, though. It's okay. 1 and 2 were good. 3 was... 3 didn't exist. But he did a very decent job portraying Peter Parker. Now, he wasn't that much of a Spider-Man, but then again, I assume that was a script. And they were well-done movies. They really were. And then you look at The Amazing Spider-Man, and I actually have to say that was a good movie. I didn't know that was such a good movie until I actually watched it after the second one actually came out. Because I was like, I'm laying off Spider-Man because Spider-Man's my brother's favorite character, and I'm not going to touch that because I'm more of an X-Men fan. I always have been. And I've always been more of a Star Wars fan than he is, and he's actually more of a Star Trek fan than I am, which is kind of weird because I watched Star Trek before he did, but I don't know. It's one of those aspects of how life changes you. But if you don't let go of your childhood, you stay who you are. If you let life change you through the stress, the pain, and all that, you can't be you. You have to be someone else. And one way to stay you is to reflect on your childhood, to look at the things that you did growing up that made sense, even when your life didn't. And that's one aspect of why I started doing what I do. I used to play games just to be in a world that made sense to me. And looking back at it, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I grew up with friends that had consoles. Because I didn't have a console until... what was it? It was the GameCube, and that was after a couple years had been out, and the Wii had just come out, or been announced. So it was one of my first consoles, and all my friends, like, I grew up going over to their house, and some of my fondest memories were with some friends that I don't even have contact with anymore. But I used to go over there, and we'd play Mario, or Mario Kart, or Street Fighter. I mean, Street Fighter was one of the first fighting games I ever played, and it brings back such fond memories because I was unbeatable with Guile. But that's okay. But moving forward and going to the Sega Genesis, there was another friend of mine that actually had one of those, and I actually stayed with them for a while during my childhood, and playing Sonic and Mortal Kombat and learning about Spawn for the first time. And it was one of those things that I didn't quite understand yet. And going through and learning about Mortal Kombat in general, and when it was big, I mean, on the Sega it was one thing, on the arcade it was a totally different. And I started playing as Scorpion on the Sega, and I got used to playing that character, and I got so good that I actually won a couple championships there that we had. It was literally like the whole family get-together thing, and I was over at a friend's house, and he's like, hey, everybody, all the kids, come on! So we all did a Mortal Kombat tournament, and I won. So, yay for me. But I digress. Going back to the original thing that started this whole vlog, rant, whatever you want to call it. Star Wars means a lot to so many people. It's one thing to take a property and decide, well, we're Disney, we bought everything from George Lucas, so we're closing down LucasArts. I actually got the privilege to actually talk to one of the head guys at LucasArts while I was actually in San Francisco. He was actually one of the coolest guys there. I actually did not get a chance to talk to any of the guys from BioWare. Now, that being said, if the guy from LucasArts is actually coming out and talking to people, yet the BioWare people are there to answer questions, and we ask a question and they're like, oh, maybe that's dies. I can't really say that that is something that I liked having happen. Because, one, it felt like an insult. And that aspect of gaming is not something that I'm a big fan of. Because through all the years that I've been gaming, yes, I have been that kid that has gone off on people. But at the same time, I realized that I shouldn't have been. Because as a nerd, as a gamer, as a person who is a fan of fantasy, so to speak, science fiction, what have you, I've discovered that helping those around you is more powerful than going off on people. I play Magic the Gathering as well, and a couple years ago I went down to the local shop, and a mom showed up with her son. He was like 6, had no idea how to play, and I ended up teaching him. She brought a couple decks. He had a green deck, and I was like, well, do you have any basic decks? Because I don't want to beat him with everything that I have, so give me a basic deck if you have one. She gave me an angel deck. White angels. And I taught this kid how to play. And that actually was one of the most rewarding feelings I've ever had in my life. Because I was showing a kid something that I was passionate about. And that's what this channel's about. This channel is about showing you what I'm passionate about. Yeah, you may have me go off on the video game, Super Meat Boy, and freak out. But other times, I go through and I rate video games. I review them. I talk about what's good and what's bad. Other times, I just play for fun. Because if you're not having fun doing what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. I've been through a lot in my life, and I know everybody else has as well. But there's a couple things that have stayed true to me throughout my entire life. One of which is gaming, 2 of which is Marvel, and 3 of which is Star Wars. Technically, it's Star Wars then Marvel, but that's okay. I have actually never felt as accomplished in my life as going through and beating games on the hardest difficulty. I have never felt more accomplished than helping someone learn how to play a game. Whether it be a card game, board game, video game. I've grown up over the years, and I'm not afraid to say that. But at the same time, even grown-ups need to have a little fun. So, I game. And yeah, I've been a while since I've gamed, but I'll be getting my new computer tomorrow. So I will be gaming. I will be doing what I do best. And I thank you all for coming along with me on this journey of gaming, nerddom, and learning. Because learning is something you always do. And if you stop learning, there's no point. And there's always something new around the next bend in a game. There's always another chest to open. There's always another level to reach. There's always a new move to learn. I would like to thank you all for watching. And I would also like to thank all of you that have actually been here supporting me in any way, shape, or form that you have. I would like to thank all the people throughout my life who have actually helped me become a gamer, helped me become a better person, shown me that there's more to life than what I thought there was. I'd like to thank my fiance for supporting me in my YouTube channel. I would like to thank my parents for pushing me. I'd like to thank my father for being there for me when I needed him as a child. I'd like to thank my uncle for being the one man who actually taught me how to game. I'd like to thank all those that were there for my family and I during my father's illness. I'd like to thank those of you who have shown me that there's more to life than everything that I thought was going on. My ex-roommates who have shown me that there's much more to me than I thought there was. And I'm reaching for a goal. I'm reaching for a goal that I thought was unattainable. But nothing's going to stop me from reaching that goal anymore. Because that goal is something that means something to me. I'd like to thank all the people that I've ever played video games with. The good ones, the bad ones, everything. Because those people were the reason why I kept gaming. During high school, I used to go over to a friend's house and Legends of Dragoon. Oh God, I still haven't beat that game. I need a PlayStation. I would also like to thank everyone who is helping me with my channel in general. Watching my videos, sharing them, and commenting and liking them. Because that helps me. Because yes, I may work with Machinima, but this is still just me being me. I have a day job. That's how I pay my bills. This right here, I do this because I can. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for the fame. I do it because I can. Because I know there's other people out there like me. People that were like me as a child that had nowhere to go. People that tried to achieve more and then got shot down. People that have been used and abused by those they care about and those they love. I'm here to say that this channel, its main goal, is to help people understand gaming as a therapeutic, a way to vent, a way to understand humanity as itself. Because if you look at games, who makes them? We do. And if we make them, there might be just a little bit of humanity in them. Yes, there may be games where there's shooting and death and gore, but there are other games out there as well that question, to try and make you think. And I'm here to show you that those games, when they make you think, they make you question morality, existence, possibly even everything you believe in. But there's a reason for that. Because it's like us looking into a mirror of our own creation. I'm UrielLocke. And I would like you to please like, subscribe, and share my videos. And comment if you want. Now, after saying that, you all are the main reason why I continue. Because I know I have people watching. Because I have people that are like me, that enjoy games, that enjoy paying attention to what's going on within certain aspects of things. and I'm here to tell you that I'm here. And all of my social media is going to be located below in the description. If you guys want to get a hold of me, that's where I am. I actually have my phone in my pocket right now. I always have my phone, which means I have instant access to my Facebook page, Twitter, or anything else. So, game on, ladies and gentlemen. Game on.